Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tim from Arm Wrestling Secrets, and I wanted to talk about something that I think everyone who watches arm wrestling on YouTube has certainly seen and certainly knows. It's the Schoolboy, and watching him blow away all those monsters in the gym. And what I wanted to talk and provide my opinion on today was, how is the Schoolboy so good? Okay, so I wanted to go over some of the basics, which most of you, or some of you may already know, some of you may not. Okay, if you just look at the man's history, he grew up arm wrestling. His brother's a professional arm wrestler. He was a very young person when he was exposed to arm wrestling. I'll tell you, that gives you a tremendous advantage in the sport of arm wrestling. I think just like any sport, you look at Tiger Woods and you found out he was like 5 or something when his dad started teaching him to golf at a very high level, really teaching him the sport. And I think that goes for chess masters and things like that. Arm wrestling's the same. It goes for like the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys. They start learning Jiu-Jitsu at 2 or 3 years old. I mean, by the time they're 20, they've had 17 years of experience. By the time they're just becoming a man, right? So I think a Schoolboy is kind of a prodigy, kind of like that, where it's like he is really been around arm wrestling a long time. That gives him a tremendous edge. That's certainly not taking anything away from how amazing his arm wrestling skill is. Now, secondly, when you're, and this is kind of just a follow up from that, is that when your brother is a professional arm wrestler and you're learning arm wrestling and you're actually learning it at a very high level, you're learning the tricks of the trade, the real tricks of the trade. From real competition at a really young age, you're going to be able to digest that at a younger age, and then by the time you're pretty young, and he's very young, you'll have a lot of experience by the time by whatever age he is. He's been arm wrestling a really long time, and most people would have been 50 by the time they've been arm wrestling 20 years. He's probably been arm wrestling 20 years, and he's just in his early 20s or something. So I wanted to talk about those things first. Those things are a given for why he's so good, okay? And that's just like John Brzenk. His dad was a great arm wrestler, and John Brzenk learned at a really young age. So there's something to that, to being great at any sport, is getting exposure to it as a very young person, and that's just something that's an obvious point. Okay, secondly, I've seen his training routine, and it's very good. Very, very, very good. Him and his brother's routine on there's a few different training routines that they put up on YouTube. They seem to put up a lot of content, but their training is very, 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 very good. Like I said, I'm going to be putting out several new training methods that I think you're going to be finding very interesting, especially for you guys training by yourselves, training without a gym. I got some really good new moves for you. But however, I have watched how Schoolboy and his brother utilize a normal gym and normal cable pulleys, low row machines for pronations, that kind of stuff, to create the right angle and discipline on every one of their exercises so that they mimic arm wrestling moves that they do on the table. Okay, and then thirdly, Schoolboy's extraordinarily, and this is still not what I'm going to say, by the way. Okay, I'm just providing a foundation for the obvious reasons why he's so good. I mean, come on. Thirdly, is that besides the training that he's done, not only in the gym, their training methods are very, very good off the table. On the table, Schoolboy's training with a professional arm wrestler, his brother. They can train as much, as often as they want. Most people, if you think about it, even just from an everyday perspective, who has access to another professional arm wrestler 24 hours a day, or kind of like, close to that, where you can just pull whenever you want and work on anything anytime you want. That's a huge advantage as well, and it certainly shows on the table. Okay, and so for all of those things combined, he's also an extremely hard worker. He arm wrestles all the time. He donates his life to the sport, obviously, quite a bit more than most of us. Like I said, I don't know anything about this person other than what I see on YouTube in the arm wrestling. But anybody that's willing to arm wrestle that much is going to get pretty good. But he donates his life to it, and the technical skill they show on the table is very, very professional. It's very good. Okay, and this is going into what I'm going to say, but their in-gym training is very good. Okay, if you want my opinion on their workout routine, Schoolboy's workout routine in the gym, it's very, very good for arm wrestling. And he has conditioned his body so that it is very strong for arm wrestling. He does not seem to do too many exercises that aren't going to help him in arm wrestling or on the table. That's what I mean, devoted his life. You're not going to see too many people, even arm wrestlers, even serious arm wrestlers, they still do the exercises to keep their chest looking buff and their shoulders looking buff and get the abs and get the glutes and the legs and stuff like that. A lot of them do. And do they really need to do squats to arm wrestle? Well, not really. I still definitely think you should do leg exercises. I think a good foundation underneath you is actually a big important part of it. But you know what I mean, where it's like, okay, there's certain muscles you probably don't need to work for arm wrestling, but a lot of people, they throw that into the routine anyway, just to get a well-rounded approach for your body. And I still think that's a good idea. I'm just saying the Schoolboy, from what I've seen, he really works out very specifically for arm wrestling. And then that plays a huge dividend. Now, here's what I'm going to say. And this is going to lean into some of the movements that I plan to do with you guys on the table, some of which are very similar to what they're doing, but a little bit different. His secret to winning, besides having great technique, a lifetime of experience, and being extremely well trained, okay, knowing counterattack, arm wrestling, all of that kind of stuff, besides all of those things, which already should be enough reason for him to beat all the people you're seeing, honestly, it's this. It's pronation. It's pronation. His pronation strength. Your ability to turn your forearm over. Guess where people aren't strong? Their pronator and supinator muscles. Their ability to resist the arm getting turned. If you're really strong in your pronation, pull back and roll through. The person can't resist at their weakest link. It's the pronator. All those huge bodybuilders, they're losing because they don't work their pronation. They got huge shoulders and huge biceps and everything. Are you learning something yet? I hope you're learning, because this is an instructive video on arm wrestling muscles. All those big, giant, buff beach muscles that you're seeing, they don't work because they're not arm wrestling muscles. Okay? The tight muscles of the forearm and the grip and the rotation in through the forearm is the biggest key to your arm wrestling victory. He works, and him and his brother work extremely hard on pronation. They're always working on pronation. I'm going to show you guys a lot of cool pronation exercises that I think you're going to like, that you'll be able to do without a gym, which is really cool, or with a gym. I'm going to show you both, but that's the key from my perspective. I'm not saying he's not strong with the hook. He's very good with the ability to low hand top roll or high hand top roll, depending on if someone's going to hook him as well. I don't know if any of you have noticed that, but his ability, he sees the hookers coming and he'll quickly flop to a low hand top roll, and you don't even see it. It's very fast, but he's very good. So technically he's extremely really good. But pronation is to me, it's his number one secret, is why these big guys are just getting rolled. They can't resist it, and they don't know why, because they don't work. If they spent all the time on pronation, on building their pronator muscles, especially in the right angle, your opponent is over there, right? Your opponent's across from you. Like, you would be my opponent, right? So my opponent's over here. I should be pulling from that direction. I shouldn't be pulling from the ground and pronating. And I'll demonstrate this quite a bit more when I get the tables and the weights out, okay? But I wanted to kind of lay the foundation for this, and Schoolboy's a great example, okay? But you see how he's on the seated row. Do you see the way he does this pronation? Do you see the way you notice how he's not standing up and just kind of pulling from the ground? His opponent's not on the ground. His opponent's across from him, so he's pulling the weight this way. That's what he's doing. It makes a huge difference, rather than just grabbing a band and sticking it in a door frame and just pronating it from the side. It builds pronation strength, but it's not the same. And this is why I think this is important. It's not the same as building in the exact same range of motion as from your opponent. And that's something he does very well. And that's something I'm going to teach you guys to do as well from home. And so that's kind of my final thought on it. I mean, I really provided all the basic reasons, most of which you know is why he's beating everybody, but he's rolling through everybody, more to do with their, regardless of what technique, but more to do with their lack of pronation strength. Those guys don't know that. Those bodybuilders don't know that. Like those big guys that he's beating in the gym, dozens of them, they don't have any pronation strength. They're not concerned with the pronator, the little pronator on the inside of the forearm, which happens to be a huge muscle for arm wrestling. And the Schoolboy knows that. And he's blowing people away with it. And that's one of the main reasons that I think he is great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I need more subscribers. I want to get the content out to more people. And I will see you in the next one.